Abeko, Ndala, Abeko, Ndala, Abeko, Abeko, Abadala, Stambulo, Kosana, Abeko. What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Nthabi, and welcome to the place where we just have fun and, do fun things. And if that's something that interests you, please don't forget to click on that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any of the fun that is happening. So I'm back with another episode of my review, recap, commentary on The Wife on Showmax. And this week we're talking about episode 10 to 12. Let's get into it, guys. It was a hard one, I won't lie. There was a lot of things going on. Mainly we were dealing with GBV and basically what happens in and around those kind of situations in our lives, right? Or rather in the lives of Hlomu and Mqele and everybody around them, basically. Okay, so basically in episodes 10 to 12 we're basically dealing with the after effects of Mqele beating up Hlomu the way he did. Firstly, that was not great for me. It was hard. It was very hard because I saw a lot of the things. I saw a lot of things in Hlomu. I was just like, thing is, listen, we always knew she was gonna go back to him, but actually seeing it happen on screen, it wasn't great. It wasn't awesome. I didn't enjoy it. I was just like, maybe they shouldn't have. For the first time, I took it back and I was just like, no, this man doesn't deserve this. Not that I ever thought that Mqele deserves Hlomu, especially after her first beating. But I don't know, reading it in a book sort of kind of sanitized it so much so that I didn't necessarily see the effects of the abuse. But seeing it on screen, man, that traumatized me. I don't want to lie. So anyway, in episode 10, this is where Hlomu's basically dealing with the after effects of the beating, and she's like basically sobbing on the floor. That's where Langa finds her, sobbing on the floor uncontrollably, and he's just, trying to figure out, hey, what's going on, why are you crying, Bodla, and although they don't show us when she does eventually tell him, but then, we see with the flashbacks and then him bringing her tea and basically asking if she's okay, that yeah, she indeed did tell him. And I'm glad she did, because knowing Hlomu in the book, she didn't tell Langa anything. And I think that's the worst thing, even though yes, it's humiliating. Let's just put it out there, being beaten or being abused in any shape or form is humiliating. So I don't see how easy it would be admitting that to, especially people that you love, people that care about you. I don't see how easy that could ever be. But I do commend her for actually telling Langa, and I'm actually glad that in the series Langa was around town so that she couldn't get away from telling him that no matter what would happen, no matter the turnout, that she couldn't not have told him. And I also like the fact that she was just like, you know what? I just want to go home, bruh. Because I think for me, what that communicated at that moment was, that is the only place that I will feel safe. Because Mqele violated her safety. Not just in their relationship, however toxic it was, but even in her space, because that's where he beat her up. Imagine now coming back to that same space and having to relive and being triggered by seeing something in your space. That violated her space. You know what I mean? So I think for her going back home, it was just an issue of, that's where I feel safe. That's where people who love and care about me are. And that's where I think I will get clarity and possibly healing. So I think that was a very great call for her. and to be like, you know what, let's not even wait, let's bounce. Because knowing Mkele, guys, knowing Mkele, he would have been there like the second Langa got home. But obviously he was only there like the day after, because that's when he came back to his senses, surprisingly. So it was a great call for her to go home, and an even greater call for them to leave immediately. And the funny part I even realized about that is the fact that, guys, we even forgot that Klomu actually has a car. This girl has a car. But because of this all-consuming relationship, it seems as though she doesn't even have freedom anymore. Freedom of movement. Like, it's just toxicity, like, on steroids. And I think at first it was just the allure of it. Like, you know, he dropped her off, picked her up, whatever. But now that we see the full extent of, like, the effects of that, we see that actually this girl was trapped. Hectically trapped, because she didn't have, like, freedom of movement. Not only because of being in a relationship with Nthabi, but yes, being in a relationship with Nthabi because of the type of family he's in. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyway. And I also loved how Langa, on their way home, reinforced the fact that, listen, dude, we weren't kicked out at home. We have a home to go back to. So let's go home, child. And I think that's just one of the things that I personally think that, like, most GBV victims may struggle with, or maybe let me not put it that way. The thing is, with abuse, especially if it starts out emotionally, I get it, the goal of the perpetrator is to draw you out of your circle, your community, the people that care about you, and give you a sense or like some false feeling that you're alone. So their point is to draw you out, because I get it, they are attacking you psychologically so that you are fully dependent on them. So their point is to draw you out of that community, of the friendships, of whatever, so that you are now completely dependent on them, and they can then have their way with you and make you feel like actually nobody cares about you, I'm the only one that cares about you, and therefore you will take whatever that I give you, right? So I loved how Langa reinforced that, listen, we do have a home, we do have parents that love us, and we were never kicked out of home, so that is where we're going to go back, right? Which is not what a lot of victims have, if I can even put it that way, because if the perpetrator is as calculated enough, you won't even think about going back home. You won't even think that your family would want you, because he would have filled you up with so much of these thoughts that nobody wants you and I'm the only one that cares about you, which is essentially the most dangerous part about like that whole, you know, cycle. So I really, really appreciated that. And I think as a viewer as well, that really like made me awaken to that fact that actually, guys, no matter what, yes, psychological manipulation is tough. It's tough, but it's also so important to have a good close community around you that can be accountable for you, that can see like when things are wrong, and that can step in and not take no for an answer, you know. So yeah. So one of the moments that happened in episode 10 that I was just like, no, was when Mkele actually came back. Like, we predicted that he was going to come back in the morning, when he came back to his senses and tried to talk her back into basically apologizing, taking him back, all of that yada yada mess, right? Dude did not even have a key to this girl's apartment. Sharp. I didn't expect him to have a key, because even when he came to beat her up, he didn't have a key. But then I said, a screwdriver, guys. Screwdriver. No way. No way. Like a common criminal. Ali busy. Ali mo. Not even say let's have a white collar, you know. Umu. And like he goes in after the screwdriver, so on some Shomu, please, I know you're here. You know, I need to talk to you. Can I please talk to you? Mara also screwdriver, so. And I'm just like, oh, no ways. Like, he was still, not for me, he was still a flight risk, because not a flight risk, but he's still a danger to her, because also, if you notice, like, he was very erratic, like he wasn't in his right mind. And then, like, he just got in from, where are you, I need to talk to you. Like, he was impatient, like, nothing was communicating there. And all I could think was, had she been there and been like, Kayla, I don't want to talk to you, like, it's over, I don't want to be with you, what would he have done with that screwdriver? Because he wasn't in his right mind. He wasn't in a state of, baby, I need you, I'm sorry. He wasn't remorseful, but he was rather is remorseful and regretful the same thing? But he wasn't remorseful. He wasn't repentant. He wasn't repentant. He was guilty. That's what I got from that. So that's why I'm saying, if she was there, he would have posed more of a danger to her, because then she wouldn't want to hear what he has to say, and he still would have been adamant to tell her that, no, I'm not going anywhere. You're mine. Nobody else can have you but me. It gave me those kind of feelings and vibes that I did not like. Now, because of his erratic behavior over what he did, he didn't tell his brothers. He didn't tell his brothers what happened. He didn't tell his brothers what he did. Although I do suspect that some Budlo suspects something went down, because he was there when he kept on calling and calling and calling and calling and getting her voicemail. And he even asked him, hey bro, are you good? And he was like, yeah, why wouldn't I be good? So I think, but also Kawe also suspects that he did something, because I mean, Kawe knows who this guy is, so he knows. But anyway, so because of his erratic behavior, now, because we know that he's actually Nkosana's right-hand man, even though he's like the third born, but really Nkosana really depends on him as his right-hand man in their grand scheme of things. And because he's off his game, Nkosana's off his game. That's also something that I noticed in this episode, because Nkosana was not focused, bro. He was really not focused. Because we also see how then Gagata, who happens to be the chief chairperson of the association, is a snake. And that time Kosana was like number one of saying this man is a noble man, hey, we must trust him, this, that. But obviously his brothers have their own reservations about him, but Nkosana was the one like leading the pack, like on time, no, you need to trust him, he's a good guy. That time the guy killed your parents. How about that? But yeah, anyway, too many blind spots for Nkosana in this episodes, because in these episodes, because Mkele is off his game, so it kind of messes up his balance, which I think is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Anyway, then we move on to episode 11, where we see how Nkosana has a really soft spot for Mkele. Like, Mkele wa Rafa, guys, we all know that he's psychotic. But man, Nkosana has a very special soft spot for this guy, which is why I think he is his right-hand man, and why he can't function without him. Like, he can't function to his optimum best without Mkele around. Because we see that, so it's the next day, Mkele woke up on the floor of his bedroom, having drunk a whole bottle of I don't know what, but it was probably brown liquor. And his brothers actually found him on the floor and were like, hey, Wena, what's happening? What's up with you? And then Nkosana asks him, like, dude, what's going on? He's like, I need money, can I borrow your car keys? And he's like, where are you going? Like, what's happening? He's like, I need to sort something out. He's being very vague, which is something you never do with Nkosana. You can never be vague with Nkosana, because he's Buti Omdala. He gets to know everything. But Mkele, on the other hand, got away with it, because he ended up giving him his keys, and everybody's like blowing a gasket, like, what do you mean, bro? Can you see this person? He's not in his right mind. He's probably drunk. Like, he's probably gonna crash into something. Like, why are you giving him his keys? Why aren't we asking him where he's going, what's going on, right? And he's just like, nah, he'll tell us when he's ready. And I'm like, what? Tell you when he's ready? Nah, my guy, something is wrong there. Obviously we know what's wrong as the viewers, but I'm just like, You didn't press for longer. But anyway, so now I think in episode 11, Shlomo didn't actually want to tell her parents. Like, it happened under duress, which I think was best. Yeah, she needed to tell her parents. Her parents needed to know, but I know there was reservation on her face when her dad was busy like hounding her on some girl, speak. Pella, you got here crying out your balls, well, your eyeballs, crying out. We barely got a wink of sleep because we were worried about you, and you said nothing, went to sleep, and now you don't want to say anything. Speak up. What's wrong? So obviously, again, they don't show us the conversation, the actual conversation when she tells them, but then they show us like afterwards. And I was just like, yeah, that's good, because too many times abuse thrives in privacy, because we tend to protect the perpetrators for whatever backlash, then they get empowered to continue, because it's like, but it's our little secret. You're not going to say anything. You're not empowered to say anything, which gives me the power to continue doing what I'm doing. So I'm really glad that the show took it that way, where she actually speaks even though it's not completely welcome on her part. Like, where where she has reservations about speaking, but I'm glad. I also wanted to say her mom's reaction wasn't the greatest. It was justified, but like the timing wasn't fantastic. Like, also talking about Sandile and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I guess like Sandile wasn't a wife beater or anything like that, but it doesn't make him any, like, he wasn't a horrible person, but it didn't make him a good partner either to her. So it's unfair to throw Sandile in her face like that, considering she wasn't happy anyway. Even though, yes, he was a better man in that he would never lift his hand on her. But yeah, like, and which is why I then appreciated her father, like, interjecting the mom on some, no, this is not the time. This is not the time to do that. She needs our support more than she needs our judgment. So let's pull it back. I really appreciated that about the father. So yeah, since I already spoke about like Nkosana and not having Mkele around, giving him a lot of blind spots, we're gonna move over to episode 13. I mean 12. 13 is only coming out next week, guys. We're gonna move over to episode 12. Oh, this episode, guys. I'm not happy. I'm not happy because Shomu leaves with Mkele, right? That's not a spoiler. Like, that's not a secret. She ends up leaving with him, but like from the first, like, and she does a lot of like back and forths. This is the episode where basically Mkele gets to Kwamashu and asks a little girl to go call Shomu for him, and then Shomu sees him and then runs back into the yard. Basically, he chases after her. It's like, please talk to me, da, da, da. But she says no such a word and goes back into the house. I feel like she should have left it at that. Don't say a word. Do not acknowledge him. Go back home. Let him rot on the street until he figures out that it's time to go, and you're not basically going with him, or you're just not budging, right? But I think she does like back and forth to the car like 3 more times, and I feel like in those 3 more times, that's when she softened up. Each and every time she went to the car, she softened up, because even though she was trying to portray like a stern, no nonsense attitude, like, dude, what are you doing here? Go back to where you came from. You and I are over. Da da da. And then, cause cham, and he, pulls her in with the words, pulls her in with, the sweet nothings, on some, Tlomu, I'm not leaving here without you. I can't live without you. Wada wada. At first, she didn't seem phased. Like, she's just like, dude, go back home. We're over. I'm not doing this. Then the dad. Oh, that was my favorite scene because that felt like vindication. Then the dad came out on some, who are you? Like, I've been seeing this car parked here. Who are you here for? I don't know you. Like, why aren't you going to where you supposed to go to? And he's like, no, because he didn't know that actually that was Khomo's dad. So he's like, no, you know, I'm just here for some girls. Like, no, why also go to Kohabo? Like, you know, and go check. And he's like, no, you know, I wouldn't do that. I'll just, and he's like, okay, then why don't you call her? And then eventually he's just like, who are you? He didn't know what was coming. He's like, who are you? Aram Kele Waga Zulu. Yo! Papa! Hey! Yo, bastard! Kwena Kele! Dum dum dum. Ameta. Amutupa. Ah, that felt like vindication. Hey, Amutuporo, what? Even though better was side way. Just I'm already facing. I'm already kicked. Basically, the dad beat him up like he beat up his daughter. Fine, and then Khomo was there looking at him at the gate, like with a blank face, right? Went back into the house. Guys, then this girl goes back into that car, bruh. Tells her, Uyaga the bowl of water to go clean up his wounds. Catch up, I get it. But I don't, and I wouldn't. Like, no. Count me out. My dad vindicated me. That's it. That's what you deserved. But then Khomo being Khomo and being whipped, she went back outside, cleaned up his wounds, busy asking him, why didn't you fight back? Why are you asking your rebellious boyfriend why he fought back, why he didn't fight back your dad? Like, what kind of conversations are those? Anyway, I could go, and his answer was just as stupid. Answer, no, I'd never, you know, hit back the man that bore the most beautiful woman in the world. But you would hit that most beautiful woman in the world. You had no problem whatsoever hitting the most beautiful woman in the world, huh? But where you draw the line is hitting back her father, defending yourself, basically. Such nonsense. But anyway. So yeah, like basically I think that's also when, you know, she was just like, you hurt me, you'll never understand like how much you hurt me, but also fortunately you'll never get another opportunity, right? And I thought she meant it, even though I know how the story ends. But like I really thought like, yeah, stand up for yourself, girl. And then Bachama girl kadi ijo guys ka half a day good. Hey. Half a day good made you re-evaluate your whole life and say you're going back home. This is the hill. This is the hill. Mkele is the hill. Oh, guys. Mkele is not the hill. But for Khomo, Mkele is the hill. So how later on in the day, the same little girl brought her a styrofoam dish or whatever. And she's like, oh, nguwe. And then, like, the child left immediately because she's just like, I don't want to be a part of this mess. Then when she opened the styrofoam dish, he was basically just like, Stanwasam, you know, ever since we've been together, I can't eat alone. So, I just fail to eat alone. So, here's your share, you know, my love. And I'm just like, they're good. Khomo, all you needed, all it took to convince you was that they're good. Half of it. How a girl. Ain't no way, bruh. Lebaring radarijo es banyana, ne? And then, because I remember someone said, Ore, okatima wanyana dilo tedinchi, maro sebe wa mutima dijo, ne? Maro. I didn't think it was that deep. It would make her convince herself that this is the man. This is my man. You know, I must stick beside him. over half a decade. You know what, guys? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Listen, it's fine, but it's not fine. So anyway, she decided, okay, Hore, like, this is the hill, this is my man, and I'm gonna stick beside him. And basically defied her father, defied her mother. You know, obviously Langa was like, I saw it coming. Her dad was like, if you leave, never come back. And I think that's the worst thing a parent can do. Because I know there's a statistic somewhere that says, like, it takes women that experience GBV like 7 attempts to actually leave a relationship like that. And I think on her parents' part, yes, you're disappointed. Yes, you are mad. Yes, you are angry, because it seems as though your child does not value themselves or does not see their value by going back to this person that intentionally hurts them and disguises it behind the word love, where we all know that where love exists, abuse cannot. I think the ultimatum that her father gave her was essentially unfair. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have said, when you walk out of this door, make sure to never come back, because that's the worst thing. That will even push him further into his arms, because then she will know that, my family deserted me, my family doesn't want me, and it will give him all the power to do as he pleases, because he knows he will face no accountability, no repercussions of any sort. You know what I mean? So I wasn't happy with that. But also, parents must understand that when we are adults, and as much as we can make the worst decisions ever, sometimes you cannot, no, in most cases, you cannot force an adult to do something that they don't want to do. And in Shlomo's case, her parents couldn't force her to stay in KwaMashu. That was never going to be something that was going to happen. That was never going to be something that was going to pass. Instead, I think they should have been more supportive, in a sense that, yes, we don't accept this relationship. It is dangerous. We must go to the police or whatever. But then if this is your decision, then we will stick beside you. So that if ever this guy thinks that he will make a misstep, and I know this is like all airy-fairy talk from me, because essentially it's easier said than done, especially by the people around you, where you say, this is my man and I'm gonna stick beside him, and the people are just like, okay, we'll stick beside you, and if ever anything happens, knock if you buck, we are there. And I think that's just the general way we should really learn to approach things when it comes to sensitive issues like GBV and emotional abuse and things like that, where in as frustrating as it is to see someone get into a relationship or getting involved and constantly going back and forth to this person that you know is hurting them and not valuing the person that they are, it's important that we not withdraw our support from them, we not withdraw our love, we not withdraw our presence, because then it's just downhill from then on, you know? Like, then it's just, then it's the worst of the worst, basically speaking. So I think that for me is my greatest takeaway from these 3 episodes is, nah, girl, you shouldn't have gone back. But because you did, I hope your family can stick beside you. Maybe not your relationship, but stick beside you. And make sure that you know that you're loved and that you're valued. Because, I mean, it typically takes you 7 attempts to leave. At least knowing that each of those attempts, there's someone that you can run to. I think that's the most important thing. And that's just something as society that we have to come to terms with. That instead of victim blaming, like I was doing, that, you know, which I don't blame Hlomu. It's all a psychological thing. But like as society, I think the most important thing is to move away from victim blaming and really just be a solid support, no matter how frustrating it gets, because it really gets frustrating, guys. But yeah, that is my biggest takeaway. And I think also what really broke my heart was seeing her say goodbye to her mother, but you could see on her face that she was defeated. Like, it wasn't like she was happy to be leaving with Nkele, or that, oh, reunited with my love, I forgive you, you're okay. But you could see that she was completely and utterly defeated. She didn't look happy at all. In fact, for me, she looked trapped. She looked like someone who was like, there's no way out. I'm in, and that's it. And I hope that nobody ever feels like there's no way out, that you can never change your mind, or that you can never get out of a toxic situation like that. I really hope there are people out there that never feel like that. And that is why I'm saying that as society, we really need to like reinforce that support structure, that solid support structure, that no matter how many times, we won't, or turn our backs on them, but rather say, you know what, sooner or later you'll get the strength, and when you do, I'll still be here. Otherwise, guys, that is all for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you thought about the episodes, what you enjoyed, what you didn't, what you got away from it, what you enjoyed about the twists and turns. But otherwise, for me, it was a really heavy one. Really did a lot of introspecting, a lot of thinking, a lot of analyzing. But I did enjoy the twist of events, and I'm more excited to see what's going to happen next. Like, is there gonna be more drama or what? I wonder. But otherwise, see you guys next week. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Cheers.